Good morning, everyone. John Miller, propanebuzz.com here, back in mission control, off of vacation. Flight was delayed out of Denver last night. Got home around 2 a.m., got to bed about 3 a.m., and back up and at it this morning for you. Glad to be here. First, let me tell you about one of our sponsors, Energy Distribution Partners, also known as EDP. This is a company that is growing by leaps and bounds, both organically and also through acquisitions. And I've known the leaders of this company for a long time, ever since I got into this industry back in 1996. I've known them, and I know that they do business the right way with integrity. You can trust them because at some point in time, most propane retail owners are going to consider the next steps in their phase of their business evolution, their life evolution, and there may come a time when you consider selling your business. If you do, give EDP a call. You can go visit their website, edplp.net. Testimonials right there from other propane retail owners just like you, and I'll have a link to this both in the email that accompanied this item as well as below this video. So when that day comes for you, give them a look. I think you will be pleased that you did. Let's take a look and dive into this week's Energy Information, what is it? Association, agency, can't remember. The EIAs, let's just go with that. Week ending 8/3, propane built 100,000 barrels for the week. What I sent out this morning to subscribers, I said there were a few things I was going to be looking at from this report. Overall size of the build, inventory pace for the next 10 weeks as far as building compared to last year. Conway's inventory build, as they've been strong as of late. Mont Belvieu inventory levels compared to last year. Crude oil reporting from today's release. National propane stock levels compared to a year ago. Propane exports, as well as propane production. Let's kind of go down that list. We'll start with crude. It's here at the top, 1.4 million barrel draw. Yesterday's API showed a 6.1 million barrel. I mean, the APIs are just, you cannot base your faith and belief in those. And let's just see, oh, crude oil's down $1.34. There you go. That's what happens there. Back to the report here. But again, 100,000 barrel build this past week. We are at 66.4 million barrels. 1 year ago, we were at 67.6. I wouldn't say that traders in mass are getting jittery because I don't talk to all traders, but I'm starting to pick up more hints of bullish sentiments across the board in propane, especially in Mont Belvieu. Get to that in a second, but this was the end of the day yesterday's forward curve, which is where pricing for contracts and winter contracts are based. And this is a trajectory. This is an idea. It's pretty close to where things were trading out in the paper in the out months. Q4 18 Belvieu at 98 cents is as high as it's been, I think, all year. Conway 86 is incredibly high, maybe also as high as it's been all year long. Looking at yesterday's closing Opus averages, 97.93 in Mont Belvieu. That is the highest we've seen since January the 4th. The highest closing average in Belvieu since Jan 4. Conway at 77. That's going to be the highest we've seen since roughly middle of May. So we're talking really, really strong propane prices as of late. And crude oil had only risen like 70 cents since Friday's close. So the rise through Tuesday of this week kind of goes against the grain of what we've been seeing. Because now we're seeing, let's see if we can pull this up, just highlight this here. Mont Belvieu is 59.46% of crude oil based on yesterday's closing average, and Conway 46. And that's risen, from 43% back on the 2nd of August and 57. So these are going up pretty significantly at a time earlier this week when crude oil wasn't really going up. So propane finding maybe some more bullish legs there. And that's kind of what I'm wondering is there some bullishness creeping into propane fundamentals? And when you look at the export, or when you look at the year over year inventory gap, we're now 1.3 million barrels behind last year. The last 4 weeks, we've had a build of 2.8 million barrels. That is an average of I don't need to look at my math here. It's an average of 700,000 barrels of builds per week. The last 4 weeks. It's not a lot. We've got 9 reporting weeks left to go until we get through the end of September, which is traditionally the end of your propane seasonal building cycle. To get to 80 million barrels, which was roughly where we were a year ago at the end of September, we're going to need to average 1.51 million barrels per week of inventory builds to get back to where we were 1 year ago. With propane exports that feel a little more robust, here's where exports were. Here's the dates. Each of these lines represent the same point in time a year ago versus right now. And this is also included in the email that I'm sending out. So over the same period last year, 6 weeks, looking at 4.359 million barrel per day exports. This year, you're looking at 5.6. So you're looking at stronger exports this year, same time than we were a year ago. Propane production. Let's get back and we'll take a look at that to find out where production is. This is 1.938. Last week, 1.937. So we're continuously right on the same levels as it relates to propane production. But down here at exports, 945,000 barrels per day this week versus 1.2 last week. I mean, 1.2, like I said last week, it was the third largest weekly export total we've seen in the history of this industry. 945,000 a day is very strong as well. 4-week average of 1 million barrels per day versus 1 year ago, 743,000 barrels per day. So we're exporting 25-ish% more propane over the last 4-week period this year than we did 1 year ago. The inventory builds over the last 4 weeks, as I just mentioned, were 2.8 total. Last year, they were 5.4 total. Interesting though, we built 100,000 this year. A year ago this week, we had no build or draw. So I can't remember if that was a hurricane or what was going on then. But regardless, we're 1.3 million barrels behind last year. I just hear more chatter of people starting to look at propane fundamentals. I don't know if concern's the right word. Certainly has everyone's attention. The inventory bearishness that has persisted for much of the spring and through much of the summer, those feelings are starting to wane a little bit. I'm just curious, my crude oil still down. Sorry, it's kind of what I do. Looking over at propane deals so far this day, we've seen 10,000 barrels of Conway get done at an average of 77 and a quarter, which is in line with where yesterday's closing averages were 77 cents. So it's a little stronger than that. Mont and Bellevue's been done at 97 and 5/8. Yesterday closed 97, nearly 98 cents. So Bellevue's down a little bit, but there hasn't been much trading, only 10,000 barrels in both Conway and Bellevue. So that's not going to be something to hang your hat on just yet. So going through the list, we just talked about the size of the build. It wasn't big. And we're going to need, again, the next 9 weeks to average 1.5 million barrels just to get to 80 million barrels. And as strong as the export market looks right now, with the trading arb as favorable as it is, and the Eastern Asian countries needing to bring in a lot of propane still yet to fill their supplies heading into this next winter, well, that is that's interesting and certainly worth watching with regards to some potential bullishness. The Conway inventory build, I took a peek at this before we came on because I wanted to add to my spreadsheets. I'm sorry, I kind of like doing this live with you, but I need to look at some of these things. Conway, we actually drew down. Last week we were at 22.9, this week 22.8, and Bellevue added just 300,000 barrels. So Conway inventories right now, last year at this point in time, 22 million versus 22.8, so those are in line. Mont Bellevue is at 35.1 versus 36.9 a year ago, so it's below a year ago levels. I think that's why you're starting to see a little, I wouldn't say jittery behavior in trading, but certainly traders are doing a lot of talking. Crude oil, we talked about that, not necessarily lining up with regards to where the APIs were versus 1 year ago, had a 1.1 draw. And this year we had almost a 1.1, we had a 1.4 draw. So that's very similar. So at any rate, very interesting report. And my phone's been blowing up while I've been doing this, and I've seen a couple of traders text me, and I'm curious as to what they're talking about. So I'm going to stop here. I'll come back later today with an article for everyone, because I feel like writing about a lot of this right now, because even though I can talk faster than I can write, there's some things that deserve a deeper dive than just an off-the-cuff oration. And I'll send that out to everyone today. So 2 emails going out to the thousands of propane retailers around the country who receive at least our weekly updates. And if you'd like to see what we send to subscribers on a regular basis, have an ongoing 7-day free trial that you can take advantage of. And I don't ask for any payment or any financial information. You just give me your name, first name, last name, your phone number, the name of your company, and your email address, and I will add you. And for the next 7 days, you can see what it is that we provide to our customers, and you can look back and see what we've given to our customers the previous 7 days. A lot of really interesting weather information that we've sent out to our clients the last week. And I know you might be saying, hey, John, it's the middle of August. The climate begins to show its hands with regards to what the macro level drivers of the climate are going to be for this coming winter. And so far, everything I'm seeing, and we're talking about the Canadian model, the European model, analogs from professionals at bamwx.com, our meteorological partners. Joe Bastardi and his Weather Bell unit just came out with their DECE Jan Feb, preliminary forecast, and it looks very similar to what BAM has, this below normal area in the southeastern quadrant, dipping up into the northeast, covering the Ohio Valley, down through the heartland. Here where I live in Oklahoma, my wife won't be happy to see those below normal readings. Very similar to what BAM's put out and everything I've seen. So I love weather. I write about it a lot, and the closer we get towards winter, I write about it a lot more, because there's really no other. The biggest driver of a propane retailer's business on volume is weather, and I happen to love it. I think I'm pretty decent at interpreting what the professional meteorologists have to say, but I don't have to interpret it too, because Propane Buzz subscribers get access on a daily basis to bamwx.com's commercial forecast, 2-week forecast updated every day, but also talking about weather drivers for the winter. You get that every day as a part of our subscription. That's actually a 4-figure value. So check out the free trial link below if you haven't already. Those of you that have signed up, it's exceeded any expectation I've had. It's great to have you on board, and hope to bring more people onto the ship. We'll be talking more to you later with an article today coming out. Thank you.